brief introduction in the beginning. I do not know whether I deserve that or not, but I accept that with all humility. It gives me great pleasure being in the august company of Dr. Rakesh Premi, his faculty members, students, other distinguished dignitaries. I was meeting with them some time back in his room. Many more who have come, he's taken the names, I invite them, and delegates, speakers, students and staff of the institute, and all those who are present here. At the outset, let me make it very clear to you. I do not hold all that good oratory skills as my friend does and some of you here who have it. Nor do I have those professorial qualities. So you will kindly have to bear with me. The other fact that I am going to share with you is I am going to use a paper which I have put down some thoughts here, scribbled it here. So my reading skills are going to be a test today, right? So a lot of things you will have to bear with me. I'm sure you will allow me this privilege. At this juncture, I would not hesitate to say that Dr. Rakesh Premi and his team deserves accolades for their unrelenting efforts and the unflinching support to the institute. Truly speaking, Dr. Premi, you along with your team members are the prime movers in the prestigious ascent of this institution to a coveted position. In fact, he is known as a man bringing about turnarounds. I hope you understand. One there sometimes at a low ebb, they're sinking, not doing so well. You need a guy, you need a steward, who can take you along. Now, I've known him to be that kind of a guy who turns around things, phenomenally. So my congratulations to him and his team members who are supporting him in this institute. And I was amazed, in fact, when I took a round of this institute, the kind of transformation that I've heard deserve that. Dr. Monica, you're there. She's very strictly told me you have to go by the time. And therefore I'm using a very big dial watch on my wrist, so that I can look at it. So bear with me. Yesterday when I came, I traveled by a train. I was at one of our plants in Madhya Pradesh. And when I alighted, I had two of their distinguished colleagues from the institute waiting around the railway station outside the platform, waiting to receive me, and I was delighted. In fact, I refused. I was not going to would want anybody to be there. But then, out of courtesy protocols, they had come, and I was overwhelmed. In fact, as we got into the car and were driving down, there was this gentleman called Mr. Vinod Sharma. He filled me up with a lot of things on JK. And told me lots of things about Yadupatiji, or Singhania, and all. And I kept on absorbing as much as I could, Right. When in the afternoon, I met my old colleague and the director, Dr. Premi. He too filled me in with a lot of things about JK organization and Yadupatiji and lots of things, his closeness and how Yadupatiji is so involved in academics and how he really encourages, in fact. Right? I was overwhelmed. But once again, in the afternoon I had an opportunity. When I left, when I went back, I was lounging with a cup of coffee in my hand in the coffee bar, and I was reminiscing, my old days. And when suddenly I realized and recollected that I was once a part of JK organization myself, in fact, Did I need to know? But yes, what I gathered, that the JK organization, the JK group, still enjoys that kind of respect. What we had for it way back in the year 1981, when I joined as a management trainee. A small story, then I come to the point. I was fresh out of college. Those days we did not have these placements, so-called placements and all of these things, in our days when we came out. You were left by yourself in the ocean to swim and find a job for yourself, We didn't get a job. We had to find one for ourselves. Very difficult and very frustrating at times. I looked up, I used to regularly look up the Times of India, and there was some other probably magazine or newspaper which used to bring these vacancies. And there I saw one vacancy saying required personal manager in JK group or something like that. And left, right and center, I used to apply for any position that came, be it general manager, DGM, vice president or whatever. I said, let me try my luck out. That's the way it used to happen then. Find a job for yourself. You are not that privileged, and it's so organized today. Vinod was telling me that how they have a placement cell and all of these things. Myself, have been going to various institutes, including the IIMs and IITs for recruitment. I know how professional things have become. Our days it was not so. I applied for the position, personal manager, yes. Fresh out of college, applying for a personal manager. Anyway, by chance, by luck, as it may have, I was called for that interview. Right. And how was I called? I was sent a telegram. We didn't have any means of those quick courier service, and you didn't have anything, WhatsApp or anything, and forget about these mobiles and all those things. I got a telegram. So they used to, you have those dot, something like that, Morse code, and they used to cut that, stick it on a piece of paper and send it dispatched to you. And there I got the day after tomorrow you got to come for that interview. Something. I was extremely delighted. I told my parents, look, I applied for the position of personal manager and I've been called for the interview. Even if I get selected or not, that's not an issue, but I still, see how bright I am. My parents were extremely happy, But to tell you the sordid story, I was in Ahmedabad. I said, how do I travel to Kanpur? I had no reservations. You didn't have those online systems of reservations, I told my father, I'm young. I can go to Kanpur all by myself. I just bought a ticket, railway ticket. I got into a train from Ahmedabad to Delhi, right? Unreserved compartment. And you can imagine, it was an overnight journey, and I traveled in an unreserved compartment to Delhi. And I still remember, from Delhi I took another train called Ganga Yamuna or something. I don't know whether that is there these days or not. But I took Ganga Yamuna, all standing again. I know the tales, the tales, or the sort of story sometimes even when you travel in a train, unreserved especially. So I traveled in an unreserved compartment and arrived here in Kanpur. So that was my first encounter with the city. I didn't have enough money. My father couldn't give me all of that much money today. Then I probably stayed in some dharmshala here in Kanpur. Small little place. Quite dingy, I can tell you. I don't mind telling you, they were very dingy. I don't think so even it had some windows or something, If you get inside that room, you feel like closed, feel like crying, yourself. But yes, I managed that courage, I stayed there. And then I arrived, through a place called Jarib Ki Chowk. There's some place, I remember that distinctly, Jarib Ki Chowk. And then further I came to the JK headquarters. And I knew there was some Venkatachalam. I don't know whether he's there. Where is he now? He said, we will interview. I said, fine, do that. I'll face your interview. They interviewed me. Then they grilled me actually, didn't interview. They grilled me, asked me lots of questions, Then they said, all right, good, we think there is some hope. I said, look, I'm going to become a personal manager, just fresh out of college. I'm going to become a personal manager. They said some positive things about me, Then there was some other round, and finally you're going to meet the executive director, Assembla. I don't know if anybody knows, he was also from Ajmer. He was the executive director, very well respected in the JK organization. I said, all right, I'll meet. Personal manager deserves meeting an executive director, so I don't mind, When I went to his cabin, he said, look, gentlemen, we have tried and tested you. We feel that yes, though you have applied against the position of personal manager, we see some little spark in you. I don't know what that spark means. I'll come to the spark thing in some story of mine when I go forward from here. We see some kind of spark, but look, let me now clarify to you, or disclose this to you. We are not taking you as a personal manager. Please get out of that dream. These were the words he said. We are going to offer you the position of a management trainee. Would you like to accept? I said, sir, I have nothing, no option. A jobless guy, what would he do, at that moment? Grab it. I said, sir, I don't mind. I'll join you as a... So that was the first shock I got. A personal manager being downgraded to the position of a management trainee. The second shock was some place called damn Nimbahera. I'd never heard about this place in my life, Nimbahera. What is Nimbahera, He said, we have a JK cement plant over there, and guy, you will have to go there. I said, why not, To be more pleasant to him, he was a senior man, I just put on my face a smiling face. I said, why not, But in the heart of my heart, down somewhere I was feeling, where am I being sent to, some kala party. But yes, I said, yes. And that was the beginning of my journey. I accepted being a management trainee, falling flat from the position of a personal manager to that being a management trainee because I wanted a job, right? Mind you, when I accepted this, then I got a letter appointing me as a management trainee, signed by none other than Yadupati Singhania ji, for a stipend of 1,100 rupees. And I still possess that letter with me, signed by Yadupati Singhania, as one of my memoirs today. Three things, Dr. Rakesh Premi, I proudly possess with me. Number one is, when I became the President's Count, I was given away the certificate by Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad, the President then. I still possess, and I proudly hold it with me. The second was, I don't know Rakesh Premi is aware, I was a member of the English Amateur Dramatics Club in Government College. And ADC, yes. And in that year, Maharani Gayatri Devi was our chief guest, one of the years. And I got the Best Actors Award from her. I have a photograph and I have a certificate. So Maharani Gayatri Devi giving that certificate, I still hold as a prized possession. Number three is a letter given by Yadupati ji, which I proudly possess with me. And they go wherever I move around. And I take due care to preserve them as a paper document. So that's my thing about my association with the JK organization. And 10 long years I spent in Nimbahera. In Nimbahera I spent 10 long years. And mind you guys who are from HR, when I was given an option, I did 1 year of training. Then I was given an option, you want to go in HR, you want to go in personnel, you want to go in... HR was not so much of a term, personnel, you want to go into recruitment, you want to go into welfare. I said I want to go into IR. I chose by design IR. Right? And what I learned then, IR, is helping me now. So 9 long years I spent in Nimbahera. I think so I'll quickly have to move on. Otherwise Monica ji is there with a stick, I guess. Well, coming to the point, I'll make it very short, not to bother you much with one of my talks here. Well, I think so if you have heard about something like this, if you don't grow, you actually grow smaller. How many of you have heard this? If you don't grow, you actually grow smaller. Don't grow, you become smaller. Very simple. One sentence can transform your lives, in fact. What I mean to say, in organizations, if they're stuck in mediocrity today, you don't grow. Others grow, and they go much further up, and you are actually growing smaller. Naturally. You don't have to do anything. So what I mean to say, if you don't grow, if you don't keep up with the pace of growth, you actually grow smaller. Others surpass you, right? We are witnessing sea change across the business milieu nowadays, only to find that tempest of uncertainties have swept all that lies in its path. Mind you, I've written all this myself, my PhD. Somewhere where there are quotes, I'm going to tell you which are the quotes. All the more why organizations are keeping steady transforming themselves to turn the choppy waters to power their own growth. All organizations, in some form, there are choppy waters. Now, we will all have to learn how to use these choppy waters to power our own growth. You can't feel there's some new energy is going to come from somewhere and will lead your organization to some greater heights. Please understand, we may all have organizations have some sort of innate energy, but I'm sure at some time you have to keep on using those choppy waters for your own growth. Learn how to do it. Well, here comes the quote. Sumantra Ghosal, Gita Piramal, Christopher Bartlett, in the book titled Managing Radical Change, many of you have heard and read probably, Cooking Sweet and Sour. Right. Inverted commas. What went wrong was the company had learned to cut, to restructure, listen to these words, had learned to cut, to restructure, to rationalize. It had not learned to grow. Now what growth it means is the organic growth. The management of Indian Oxygen, it names the organization also here. The management of Indian Oxygen squeeze costs, control budgets, and improve productivity. But it lacked the energy and the courage required for creating and exploiting new opportunities. Right? As a result, it got into a dangerous spiral. Every cost cut led to a temporary improvement, but ultimately only created the need of another cut. Right? How interestingly they have put this case study of Indian Oxygen in. Please understand. They did all those sorts of things which possibly an organization could do to keep it floating from sinking. Mind you, the whole crux of my thought process here is to suggest that such legacy practices do not hold our results in the present day context. Organization practices have undergone transformation. So, cutting cost, productivity improvement, some of the other terms I've used here, restructuring, don't help nowadays. They are outdated. So if you think that the organization is not really working well, maybe I'll cut cost. Will that bring it up? No, I don't think so that will work. You think, can I do organizational structure change? No, it will not work. Then I bring productivity. That of the bygone days. You'll have to think something very different, in doing in organization. Right? Organizations need to successfully weather the storms and come up trumps in these difficult times by creating memorable campaigns. Listen to these words. I put it in bold here, which you can't see, of course, but I'll try and emphasize by my thought process. Is creating memorable campaigns and in the process establishing an enduring brand. You have to do something, HR guys. Have to create memorable campaigns for creating enduring brands around. Just not some brand. Enduring long-term brands. Now, can I say some organizations, have profound bias for growth, but do not know how to handle and manage it. I want to be good, I want to be this, I want to be that height and all that. So they have profound bias for growth, but they can't handle it. Therefore, I would say growth can only be achieved through the proper and productive engagement of its human resources. What Dr. Premi, he was saying, he was whispering in my, I'm the least human resource guy. I said, you talk so much about human resource. Your appreciation of human resource was really getting reflected in all your tone and tenor here. And he said, you are the least of the HR man. But I think it's not true. And therefore, I'm just trying to emphasize through this point here. Organizations need to propagate humanization of work with all vigor. If you have that approach, I was with him, he was saying that, human resource interwoven with that is the key to things. I surely subscribe to his ideas when he said humanization of work is required. The moment you convert your approach with humanization, you will see things begin to transform, unfold, unfurl. The energy photons of human resource is so powerful. It can catapult an organization from a state of stupor. It's only the human resource. The kinetic force, the photons, Instill these words in your mind, I'm a human resource and I believe in human resource. Human guys working with me. And they are full of photons, kinetic potential. And then, automatically, if you have HR professional this in your mind, I think so you will give it out. Modern day HR practices are increasingly embracing an inclusive growth approach, where the concept of a leader, right? Now, think, the leader, is, inverted commas, one who achieves self-growth by promoting the growth of others. How simple it is. The leader knows or must realize or must begin to practice, saying that my growth is only the growth of others in my team. If the leader begins to think this way, I think so, that sets the tone. In short, focus has shifted from individual-oriented directives and commands to group and team participatory approach. Simple, you are being taught, you listen, it's all pervading, all around us. So therefore, the distinct shift is towards team performance and collaborative endeavors. Collaborative learning assumes paramount importance for not only reaching high altitude or pinnacle of things, but to perform an encore. You know what is the term encore? Keep on repeating. Repeating, encore. So it's just not that one-time affair that we reach and then forget. No. On consistent basis. Collaborative learning has to be all-pervading across organization. Distill and synthesize knowledge, ideas and improvement suggestions from groups can take organizations to lofty levels, great heights. Collaborative learning, interwoven with its succinct guiding principles, is key to building the right organizational culture. I think there are some of the themes which I'm trying to capture, weave around some things. I'm bringing the contextual reference. As we go further, my learned speakers will have more to elaborate and speak to you. The organization eventually evolves an environment of active, involved and exploratory learning and fits well with its constructivist approach. Collaborative learning thus helps build an organization which fosters and builds more positive, heterogeneous relationships. The most profound outcome is that collaborative learning brings about alignment and not alienation. Right? Retention and engagement are two concomitant terms deeply connected with each other, at the same time greatly interdependent. The dichotomy reveals that better engagement initiatives in an organization leads to better retention. Simple, he spoke about that, right, Dr. Baby? So how it leads. Some of the engagement initiatives, I just briefly take 2 minutes to say, which are we took at Reliance Cement. One was an open forum, many of the organizations do that. Every third Saturday, we would have an open forum connected with VC through sites, through location, geographically, demographically, all people would connect on the third Saturday in the morning from 10 to 12:30 or 1, we would have this open for where we would disseminate information to everybody, and everybody had all kind of your liberty to ask any kind of question, be it professional, personal, anything. And town halls and the sites. We had a project Umami, which was a small group activity. SG is what we call in the sites. So that was, we were driving wholeheartedly. They were fun Saturdays. Earlier we used to have the second and fourth Saturdays holidays. Then we cut those, chopped those. We wanted to work on all Saturdays. We saw the attendance was dropping down. People on Saturday would take leave, were really disengaged, disinterested. So we said we'll start with something called Fun Saturday. So every Saturday what we have is some event organized, like you have Zumbas, you have something else, yoga sessions or something for 3 hours or something in the morning time. People they started coming with the gears, If it was a Zumba, they would get the outfit and look forward to that, A lot of excitement, a lot of collaboration. There were group activities, right? People collaborated with each other to do something or else. Even to the extent we had a session, last session which we had was on hypnotism, for self-cure. So there was some professional who came, had a session, 3-hour session on hypnotism. So every Saturday, the whole of the organization, length and breadth of it, for 3 hours is doing some fun Saturday, engagement. We have knowledge sharing sessions every Wednesday where anybody can speak on any topic. Of course, that is through a formal process to the larger audience, whether be it the site, whether be it the corporate office, anywhere, including any subjects, whether it be the domain knowledge, the functional knowledge, Or even somebody last time he spoke, Sandeep Jain, one of our colleagues spoke on Vastu. You know. So it is knowledge sharing. We have not said that functional knowledge sharing session. Or your subject knowledge sharing. We said knowledge sharing. It is only to get people together. Right? Begin to understand, learn. See, as I face you here, you also must learn how to face the chair. Right? Like, you know, some concept where there are very controversial topics and subjects which I at times try to dwell on. Some people say, oh, leadership. I say, forget about leadership. Leadership is gone and outdated today. What is required is a course and a very structured course on followership, on employeeship. Learn first to be a good follower. Detailed subject, I have developed a course on which I say, forget it, I don't want to talk on leadership. Leadership is enough. We talk on leadership, just creating leaders. Who are going to be followers today? And what it takes to be a good follower first, you know. What it takes to be a good employee, employeeship. There is a book by Klaus Moeller which talks about the duties of an employee. You always want management should do this, management should do that, management should... But what is my job? Is it enough I come here, use the desk, do some job and get back home? No. There are far more other jobs or other obligations, you know, too. So anyway, coming to Let's Connect is another engagement initiative where each fortnight the departmental head with his department is expected to go out to the canteen, maybe if it is auditorium, maybe outside in some, we went to some pandit or some restaurant, go with your department, sit down and talk to your people. That's called Let's Connect. Let's Connect. There is a theme given to the departmental heads, you know, each fortnight, that you try and convey this to your guys. Get a feedback from your people. And that's working very well. So Let's Connect is another very important. There is something very important, is, you know, the Kamai Best Award which you said is for some of these initiatives we took, and the one which was highly appreciated was the 4 House. You know, 4 House, what we have done, when we were in the school, you remember you were a member of some of the house, Blue House, Green House, you know? That's exactly what we practice in our organization today. From the CEO down below to a worker, we are all put into one house or the other. Cross-section, not from departments, it has nothing to do. My CEO would be in yellow house and my worker would be also in a yellow house. We call them India, Himachal, Ganga, Yamuna, something like that. But we have length and breadth. The moment a guy joins, you know, he is assigned to one particular house. And there are a lot of group activities done, from presenting white papers, from presenting doing this, from Rangoli competition. So all people are assigned to 4 House. And I come from Vidya House myself. And when there are activities being done, I do not see myself as an executive vice president or something. I am a member of that 4 House. It's a very simple concept. Take your school things, learnings, what you have had, take it up, and you will see you do things so wonderfully now. You try and become childlike. And you will suddenly realize things are simpler in life. We complicate it. More than we assign roles, we assign this, we assign that, and there. So that's one. Of course, others are multi-skilling, CSR activities, you know. We have to, in organizations, give at least 3 days in a year to dedicated, each one, all employees, it is part of our KRAs, you know. The other part of our KRAs on which you are evaluated for performance evaluation at the end of the year is creativity and innovation as a part of KRA. Each one has to bring about 2 innovations of creativity at the end of the year. When I sit my colleagues in the department and say, what 2 innovations you have, practices you have brought in which has improved working. So it becomes a part of ingrained into the EMS system. So you are compelled to do it. It's not by choice. It's not by voluntary. It's by choice, or it's more compulsory. We have, of course, other programs like Beat the Best, Reward and Recognition Ceremony. Most of that.
We can extend. Do
Yeah.
you want the each session with the kind permission?
5-7 minutes.
We can extend it to another 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
The session is going very well.
Don't give me that concern. Others are listening, you know, so they will not spare you. So.
Yeah, half an hour 40.
All right.
Cut short and then
Yeah,
15
sure.
minutes.
Sure.
So please continue.
Unless you raise your hands, you're not finding it interesting, I'll stop it here right away.
All right, interesting.
Sorry. Anyway, not much left, you know. So we have Beat the Best every quarter. Beat the Best is, you know, one department beating the other on various parameters, you know, performance. That's the plant performance. Let's say it is the power consumption, it is the fuel consumption, it is the operating systems, the failures, the mechanical maintenance. So be the best, which it is within the unit versus inter and intra units, competition, and we celebrate with dance and lots of fun, frolic, and award giving away ceremonies. We have something at the group level, reward and recognition, so star performer and this performance, there are lots of it. So therefore, collaborative learning traverses across each of the above activities and is deeply ingrained in each of the elements of this, what I said. What happens, when I'm doing all these activities? All are collaborating, all are coming together from cross-section, bereft of any levels, right? Collaborative learning is but imperative in diversity management in any organization. I think so this is another theme of this program. Diversity management can be defined as planning and implementing organizational system and practices to manage people so that the potential advantages of diversity are maximized. Very simple. Is managing obsolescence. Every idea, no matter how ingenious or successful, will eventually need to be replaced with a new one. Right? So HR professionals put on your thinking cap, say how are you going to deal with this obsolescence. I'll give you a classic example, which marketing chaps know much better, and it's in history. Henry Ford famously insisted on continuing to manufacture the Model T, long after his competitor were creating dazzling new automobiles that significantly cannibalized sales of his once best-selling car. He kept on thinking that Model T is my best, I'll continue with this and there will be a big hit. And there are many more stories of many other companies. But this particular thing was cannibalized, finished. He stuck on with something of his own idea, he didn't move. Today Apple 7 is launched and you are looking at something new, what's coming to that. Some people, there was something on the WhatsApp, some lady with this crying, there's nothing, I can't afford this. What a new feature, there's no jack in this, how are we going to do? So all that. Days of obsolescence. Please, how to manage obsolescence, that's one. Thinking beyond the realms of the definite. That's another challenge before not only HR but other people also. Thinking beyond the realms of the definite. We have boundaries across our minds. We put something, a shield, a sheath, which doesn't let us penetrate beyond this horizon. So thinking beyond the realms of the definite is certainly a challenge for us. Young professionals need to make creativity and innovation as an integral part of every single action. The development of the earliest lanterns, I'll give you an example. Lanterns and light bulbs are based on the assumption that light is created by burning something. The earlier assumptions was this, But what happened? Thomas Edison embraced a new cause. That light is created by preventing something. People say that, so you burn something, there will be light created. Thomas Edison said, no, you prevent something. Light will be created by preventing something. That's the filament from burning. Could then he create the first incandescent light bulbs? So think reverse at times. You need to think something, something very different. The other is somewhere I mentioned to create organic systems. This is the challenge for HR professionals. Create organic systems where you have individual trust and confidence. You try and build into your organization that culture you build where you have trust and individual, mutual trust and confidence. That's the job of an HR guy. Rather than mechanical systems where you have authority and obedience. Right? That's not preferred, no? Will that work in the day? So what is the challenge with HR professionals? Is create organic systems. Okay? Will work on its own. Then of course, keeping abreast with the latest. Some days back, I was in one of the sessions, there was a young lad, I would call, just out of college. He must have been the second or third batch out with a particular specialization subject, something called, which you also must be, design thinking. Have you heard of it, design thinking? I had never heard about such a subject, which today's MBA, he was from I think so, industrial engineering background, from MBA, somewhere he's done something on a subject called design thinking. Now he's pursuing this as a profession. Now when we heard about this design thinking, he took about 3 hours of a session, right? He took 3-hour session on design thinking, and he took a workshop on that. And then at the end of 3 hours, I started having an appreciation for this. So my colleagues here, I'm willing to say that HR professional must not live within the boundaries of PMS, within the boundaries of this, some bit of writing your paychecks and saying that yes, I write paychecks, that means I'm a payroll manager. They are all out there. Start appreciating all those new subjects which are coming in. Pick up, put your antennas up, try and pick up. And of course, HR specialist or be it from marketing, anywhere, must also keep abreast, which Gopal also was saying, other topics like environmental economics, environmental impact management, sustainable development, CSR is going to be very important, business excellence, enterprise risk management, and contract management. All subjects what you do, if you don't know contract management, you can't work in a corporate, unless you want to go into academics. Then, of course, diversity management is going to be a challenge, which he's already talked about. I'm coming to his point now. He's managing millennials. I don't know how we collided on this particular theme, but if we two together, out of our own experience, feel that in the current time, if managing millennials is going to be a challenge, it is going to be a challenge, I can tell you. HR professionals must really equip themselves to how to handle, They don't think now in terms of 3D, they think in terms of 4D concepts, Fantastic, He said, I'll elaborate. The earlier days, people were called veterans, silent traditionalists, adhering to all that norms and simple guys, Gaudists. 1920 to 1945. Then you had the baby boomers. Then the Gen X came. The years differ slightly, but many say this, many say that. There's some 1965 to 1980 who are born as called Gen X. And today, these are Gen Y or millennials or eco-boomers, they call it, who are born between the year 1980 to 2010. Some say 2012, some say 2008. Forget about that. The biggest challenge that's going to be with the HR professionals is managing these millennials. They are very techno-savvy. They think differently. There are comparisons. If you look at if you can go through some books, they say how millennials think and act today. We have to cater to them. We have to learn to be with them, right? Well, that finishes on the HR part. But final 2 minutes, Monica, give me that liberty. Final 2 minutes, because I see a lot of young guys here, students here. I have something for them as well. First, I tried to link my days with JK's. First, then probably we spoke on the subject. Third part was for the HR professional and something a bit little for my young scholastics guys here. I like to be with them because I learn a lot from them. So, having spoken about collaborative learning and its sub-themes, I would like to borrow another 1 minute with those of you who are currently undergoing studies in the great institution of academic excellence. Please note that the scholastic competition is getting tougher by the day. There is a saying, without Tinder, sparks are useless. Have you heard about this? Without Tinder, sparks are useless. Which means that as sparks you keep on wandering about in the system, you have no meaning. I said they saw some spark in me when I was in JK. When I had come for interview in 1981 here, they saw some spark in me, but I don't know what that spark means. So, without Tinder, sparks are useless means that sparks need a base to ignite, which are the Tinder. And Tinder are your teachers here. Kindly begin to respect them. Be very selfish in trying to learn from them as much as you can. Our lives without our gurus, our teachers, is just meaningless. So be wise enough today. If you can do that, even start it from today. Start looking at your teachers as from whom you learn. I think so that you'll stand to gain at the end of the day. Similarly, it is said that though it is the individual's aspiration which drives individual, it is the right enablers that fuel this drive. And who are these enablers? The teachers, isn't it? Students, do you agree with me here? Yes. So begin to respect, be very selfish. Everybody has shortcomings and good comings and bad comings and highs and lower, everything. But you be selfish in terms of trying to learn as much as you can get. For this one, what will you have to do? Is change the Bara boots and probably get into Adidas sneakers. I'm not trying to promote any brand here, only trying to say that get out of your Bara boots, which means a very cozy, comfortable kind of a scene, get into sneakers. That means you will start running, yeah? So get into your sneakers and learn to do things by getting your feet wet, yeah? You can't stay away from water and say that, no, I want to do this, so try and get your feet wet. Crystal ball gazing will not help, which can lead to a state of stupor, I said, but will lead to do some blue sky thinking. This word, let me confess, I have borrowed from a BCG guy, Boston Consulting. He came here, we were consulting him sometime, and he said, you guys must have a blue sky thinking. I said, what's this blue sky thinking? I said, it's for you to figure out. I said, I understand this. What you can't explain, we have to understand ourselves. So, do some blue sky thinking, whatever you understand by this word. Right? We will need to learn to focus on the critical few and put the trivial many aside and steadfastly push ourselves for results. Right? There are many who just plod along the beaten path, right? And therefore remain stuck in mediocrity. But not the least the young colleagues that are seated in the audience here in front of me, I'm sure, right? You don't want to plod along the beaten path, no? You want to come up, rise up. So please do that. Corporate honchos have time and again said that the brave ones are those who take the rough with the smooth. With them, excellence is a habit and success its corollary. After all those who will risk going the furthest can possibly find out how far one can go. With some air of finality, that with the conclusion of this summit, our colleagues will go back more enriched and some laser-sharp focus of driving the learning they imbibe here during the course of the day, enabling their organization to leap into the bigger league. Please do that. So I hope you use the time constructively, and thank you for listening to me so patiently, at least pretending to be doing that. I don't know what's happening otherwise, but I enjoyed the time with you and hope you all have a very, very good day today. And again, my salutes to all those who are present here, and I feel privileged being amongst you. Thank you, Dr. Monica.